How do I navigate Central Register? So this is the Central Register application for the Londonworks 2 system. What you're going to see here is that Central Register is a very simple and easy to use mapping service. What we've done is we've broken up our data into layers. So on the right hand side here, you'll see in the layer list, we will have all of the discrete data that we capture in Londonworks 2 and display in Londonworks 2. These widgets basically operate and serve a function that is specific depending upon layers that you have open. So the layer list is where you choose your layers. The legend will be dynamically populated based upon the layers that you have selected. We have a base map layer gallery, which right now is only for the one base map, but we're looking to increase that in the future. Our printing function, a ruler, so it just lets you measure distance, lets you query and change the metric that you measured in as well. We have bookmarks, which allow you to save and extend. So that's bookmark 1. If I pan and zoom out away from that area and then click on bookmark 1, it snaps me to the location of what I've just saved. And finally, we have our filter widget, which I'll go into more detail later. So to navigate Central Register, the first thing that you'll want to do is select the data that is relevant to you. So what I'm going to turn on now is just the Londonworks and permits information. So by default, what it's doing is showing you a year's worth of data. A real simple and easy way to reduce this feed, obviously this is a lot of information and it kind of isn't as relevant, is to reduce the amount of information you see by changing the time slider. So I'm just going to pull that back into a year's extent. Now right now we're on the test environment, so you're seeing a far cut down version of the data that we have. So to navigate around Central Register now, you can just simply pan the map around. You can zoom in and out. And you can also click on any of these layers as well. So anything that's come up once you've clicked on a data layer here and it gets put on the map, you can then click on each individual one of those categories and it will come up with this summary information. So it will just give you details in brief about what that particular, well in this case, Londonworks or permit is actually saying. You can then click on the form, so it says view on form. It'll open up an entirely new page, and this is where all the detail information is saved. So right here you can see that there is the map and it's snapped to the location here, and on the left hand side is all of the detail of that Eaton record that we've received. And you can do this for every single data layer, at least within the all works layer. All the other data layers that we have are what we call reference information. So within the signals and cameras area, you can see junction signals. So that'll just give you information on traffic signals, so junction signal code and the location. Pedestrian crossings, cameras, all of these different layers you can just simply turn on and off. And the way that these layers work is that if you tick on the upper layer and have a lower layer ticked on, just ticking off the upper layer, like so, will remove it all, but it will also save the layers that you have below. So if I have Londonworks and permits selected and then just click all works, it will remember my user profile and it will make sure that it just ticks on the layers that I have underneath it. So another example would just be, so for the cameras with images, this is the public CCTV feed. I'll also turn on junction signals and the congestion charging network, and then I'll turn them all off at once by clicking the top layer, and then I can turn them all on again by clicking it again. So it's just a very simple and easy way for it, and it does remember that based on your user profile. So I quickly showed you the time slider before, which is just a simple and easy way to query your results down. So right here we're seeing a year's worth of data, which is probably going to be too much for most people. But if you click on the little cog icon, it brings up a start and end date for the time slider as well as intervals. So I've got a year's worth of data here, and what I can do is break that down month by month. So if I click OK, so I now have 12 breakdowns of the data. I can then query that all the way down to just the 1 month. I think this is probably the wrong data layer because this is our test environment. Oh, no, that's fine. So it gives me that 1 month. worth of data, and the next month, and the next month. So the way this works is that this time parameter here is looking for the first of the month and the last of the, oh sorry, not even that. Depends on the time that you've actually put in there. But right here it actually tells you when it's to and from. So you can specify within the start and end date what your start and end date is for the total amount of data that you want, and then based upon what you've set, it will give you monthly parameters within that. So it's set it to the 19th of the 12th, 2015 to the 19th of the 1st, 2016. And then it lets me very quickly and easily just pan through month by month. If I want to, I can set that down to weekly, and I've got 52 data slices now. And what it's looking for are any works that fall within a start or an end date that is within these two parameters here. So if it starts before the 9th of the 11th, 2015, it will be within this layer, or if it ends after the 26th of the 10th, 2015, it will also be in this layer. So it's either active, ending on, or commencing before a day parameter within this window. So it's really simple and easy to use. It won't save your time slider settings for the layers list. It'll be defaulted to the original list, but there is actually a way that we can set a default time parameter for you, and I'll talk to you about that when I go through it through the central register filter widget later on. So the really valuable bit of information that we get from this is when we put our reference information over the top of it. So I've gone through how you are able to turn on various layers, but what I can show you now is the layers that we actually do have. So we've got our buses layer, which shows you all your bus stops, bus routes, bus lanes, our live traffic feed. Now this is purely an indication at this stage. There's a lot of different layers to click down on this, so I'm just going to quickly do this. And I haven't done this before on this account, so again, if you do define this as something that you want, you can just click on all the layers that you're after, and when you click on the main header, the top layer, it will turn on and off that information. Doesn't look like it's loading. Do you want to just timestamp 10:26 if you've got a notebook at all? Actually, where are we in the recording? 7:30. I'm just gonna refresh at 7:30 so that we can see these layers load. Not too sure why it's not. So between 7:30 and 8:10. Let me see if this. Yes, it didn't save because I didn't close it. Europe. Traffic. Oh, that's why I didn't tick Europe. I think that was my problem.
I think Europe was ticked.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if every worldwide traffic one was ticked on the main.
Ah, right. Okay. If you're missing, so yeah, no worries.
Do you get that? I've got that. No, notepad. Yeah. Okay. That's why I have to make notes. It makes it easier.
Okay. So I'm going to continue from 9 minutes now. So in this, you can see the Esri World Live Traffic information. Right now, this is just an indication. It's basically just an image, but it shows you red, amber, green status based upon the traffic flow in the area. So I'm just going to turn off my works layer so you can see that in more detail. And as you zoom in, it gives you more detail, and as you zoom out, it gives you more of like summary information. So I'm just going to keep zooming out so that it has a chance to load. So as you can see it now, it has all the major roads in London selected, and it gives you that red, amber, green status based upon the current situation on the road network. So this is refreshed every 1.5 minutes, I believed. And one of the great things about this mapping information, another way to navigate around and find out exactly what is being measured, is that you can click on the down arrow on the right hand side of the layers list, and you can go to show item details. This will open up a new page, And on this page, it displays information specific about that layer. So here you can see a description of what data is being captured, where the data is coming from, what the coverage is, the symbology, so what does green mean, what does yellow mean, what does orange and what does red mean, as well as some other reference information, which is more for the text side and how we can share that information. So this is a bit of description that we are looking to add for each of the layers. It won't be there when we go live, but we can continue to add to this, and this is more of a maintenance activity and exercise, and our system administrators can continue to add information here as required. So the next thing I want to show is the central register attribute table. So I have my Eaton Works and permits ticked, and I have my 1 month worth of data active on the screen right now. So what I'm going to do is, by clicking on the down arrow on the right hand side of that specific layer, it will then give me an option to open an attribute table. So it's the second option there. If I click on open attribute table, it then pops up a table at the bottom of the screen. And what it's doing right now is it's capturing all the information that currently is displayed on the screen, and it's giving me basically like a miniature Excel view. You can increase the size of this by dragging that up. It's going to refilter. And you can just quickly scroll through here, and it shows you all the information that you want. This is a pretty highly configurable view. It doesn't save the configuration, so you do need to configure it each time that you open it. But by default, what it's doing is filtering by map extent. And what that means is it's only displaying things that are currently viewable on your map. So it's only giving you this slice on the map right now. If you were to tick that off, it's going to refilter, and it's going to give you everything that's active on the map, or anything that can be active on the map within your time parameter. So in this case, it's going to be from the 19th of the 10th, 2015 to the 19th of the 11th, 2015. So all the information that we have for every work and permit for that time slice is now active on this attribute table. You can further filter this by clicking on this little plus arrow here, and what this does is it has all the columns that are active right now. So say that we aren't interested in this column or this column or this column. I can start removing the columns that are irrelevant to me and only see what is actually really important. So condition text I might keep, works ID, permit ID is good. I might tick off these layers. And then that way I've got a far more restricted view here. So all of these tables here are giving me nothing right now. So if I go to the record ID here, so I've turned off a number of layers there. So now I get the view on one screen, and that's just basically some summary information. It says there's no permit, minor works category, standard works category. So this is, you can tailor this for information that's important to you. You can easily scroll through this information. Oh, I think I scrolled too far. You just scroll through this information and it will give you all the works description that you have there. But what you can also do is you can click on any point and you can actually zoom to. So this is one of the features here. So I've just double clicked on that and it zoomed me to, or you can click the zoom to function. Same thing with this and this. And it's snapping me to different roads all around London and showing me different locations based upon the work that I've currently have active. There are other options here to show selected records. So say you had this one, and this one, and I've just held shift down to be able to select all of those at the same time. Show the selected records. And it should snap me to that location if possible. The one thing to note about showing selected records is that if you have it in a huge area, say it's over this area here, so it's going to highlight them for you, but it's not going to snap out at all. So you can see the ones that I've selected. I've got one all the way up here in Edmonton, and it looks like I might have two there. No, here we go. So one in central London and then one on the south side there as well. So it will just highlight with a blue box those works that you have selected, but it won't snap you out. So you need to make sure that you zoom out when you do that. So the filter by map extent is really, really beneficial as well. So that's where this select tool can become very useful. So say what I might do is just reduce the view of this so I can see a bit more of the map. And what I'll do is I will filter by the map extent again. So now on this table view, I'm only seeing what is in the bounds of the map extent right here. And then if I were to double click on one, it'll zoom me to that location specifically, and it filters down even further to only show the permits that fall within this area as well. So it really gives you some pretty intense functionality. It lets you pan, zoom, filter. It's just another way of being able to find the works that you're after, especially at that more detailed level. This attribute table will function in the same manner for the Eaton Works and Permits layer, the T-Man notifications layer, and the forward planning layer. So if anything within the All Works category will be filtered by that same functionality. So I think that means I'm going to stop the video there because I think that is a lot of CR up to number 5.